And we've come to Good Friday. As you approach these readings today, it's likely you could start them by saying, while you were sleeping, or while they were sleeping. Here's some of the things that have taken place. Following the Passover observation of Jesus and his disciples, they left that room and went out to the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus encouraged them to pray that they might not enter into temptation. And we know that he went and prayed himself, beseeching his Father, saying, if there is any other way, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. We know each time he would come back and find the disciples sleeping. And the third time, we know that crowd had come to arrest him, led by Judas. Judas was going through with his act of betrayal. And in the midst of this, as that mob approached, we know that Peter would reach out with a sword and cut off the ear of the high priest servant Malchus. And Jesus would heal his ear. As he was arrested, the 11 scatter, and Jesus would be taken by them to be tried by the Jewish religious authorities. In the midst of that, Peter would deny him 3 times, as Jesus had predicted. He would be found guilty by the Jewish religious authorities, and shortly after 6 a.m., Jesus would be presented to Pilate. Pilate would hear him, and then finding out that he was from Galilee, would send him to Herod. Herod would try to get Jesus to do some wonderful work, to which Jesus did not respond. And Herod, in frustration, would send him back to Pilate. Pilate would hear him again and would see that he had been delivered over out of envy by the religious authorities, and would say that, well, he would have him beaten and released. But we know that he ended up presenting him to the crowds. The crowds demanded Barabbas, and they cried out for Jesus' crucifixion, to which Pilate acquiesced. He hands him over to the Roman soldiers who mock him and beat him, so much so to the extent that he cannot carry his own crossbeam to Golgotha. And Simon of Cyrene was conscripted to carry it in for him. Around 9 a.m., Jesus has been crucified between 2 criminals, and between 9 and 12, he would endure more mocking from the religious leaders. He would provide for his mother. He would witness the gambling for his clothes at the foot of his cross by the Roman soldiers. And also he would see or hear to his right the voice of a man asking him to remember him. And Jesus would respond to him, speaking likely the most comforting words that man had ever heard in his life. From 12 to 3, darkness would descend upon the land. The curtain separating the Holy of Holies from the rest of the temple would be torn in 2 from top to bottom. Approaching the moment of his death, Jesus would conclude his public ministry by quoting that first line in Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me? He would say, it is finished. Those words of comfort to us now. And he would say, Father, into your hands I entrust my spirit. Even in the midst of the struggle and the suffering that was there, we see his faith in his Father and what his Father had promised. And we would also hear the Roman guard at the foot of the cross say, truly, this man was the Son of God. From 3 to 6, Jesus was confirmed dead. The body was given over to Joseph of Arimathea, and it was buried with help from Nicodemus. And the place of burial was noted by the women so they could return following the Sabbath. It's a really busy day. Your eyes are probably darting back and forth. The busyness is at times overwhelming. And we think of what our Savior endured on this day. And I want you to look at so many things, but look at these 3 men and look at what happened to them, because they were all changed. There was a Roman centurion at the foot of Jesus' cross who his mind was changed. He'd seen numerous crucifixions, but there was something about this one that as this man suffered and as he called out and as he took care, his mind was changed. And he says, truly, this man was the Son of God. We don't know what happened, if this was a confession of faith by this Roman centurion. Perhaps it was. Perhaps it led to his life being changed and his eternity being changed. What about Simon of Cyrene? Simon of Cyrene, maybe as he's coming in from this place in North Africa. Perhaps it's the first and maybe the only time that he was going to be able to be in Jerusalem for Passover. And as he's walking along the road, this man finds his plans changed. Instead of heading in towards the temple, now he's heading out carrying this torture device for a convicted criminal. But what we know is that Mark in chapter 15, verse 21, says that this Simon of Cyrene is the father of Alexander and Rufus. And perhaps it's this same man that Paul describes in Romans 16:13, when he speaks of Rufus as chosen in the Lord and whose mother was a mother to me as well. Perhaps this man who we might, or maybe he even thought, I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. We know that in God there is no wrong place or wrong time. And it's perhaps through this interaction that a family was brought to Christ. And then what about the thief on the cross? If the Roman centurion's mind was changed, and if Simon of Cyrene's plans were changed, this thief on the cross, his eternity was changed. And listen to what he said again. As they both had railed at him earlier, this one had had a change of heart. And he responds to the one who continued to rail at Jesus by responding with a confession of his guilt, where he says to this man on the other side of Jesus, he says, we are receiving the due reward for our deeds. He's confessing his guilt. He's also recognizing the innocence of Jesus. This man, Jesus, has done nothing wrong. And then he turns to Jesus in his words, seeking mercy, saying, Jesus, remember me. And he confessed Jesus' lordship. Remember me when you come into your kingdom. It stands to reason that as he identifies this as your kingdom, that Jesus is a Lord. And Jesus' response, today you will be with me in paradise. Jesus Christ, as he's going through this bearing of the burdens of the guilt of men, takes the time to comfort this man. And he responds to him saying, today you will be with me in paradise. Have you come to the point of that thief on the cross who confessed his guilt, who recognized Jesus' innocence and sought Jesus' mercy, saying, Jesus, remember me, and confessed Jesus' lordship? Remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus went to that cross for all of those who would come to him. He will save whosoever will come. We have evidence of that right here in this thief on the cross coming to him. The change that took place. And we know for certain that he is in the presence of his Savior. And he went there on that day. Let us rejoice in that. And as we witness the breakneck pace of this day and everything that it means for us, let us not take for granted Jesus' words, it is finished. He has accomplished what is necessary. And as we wait in the silence of Saturday, looking forward to the resurrection of Sunday, we can take joy in the fact that we know what is coming. He will walk out, and his life, as we've confessed our faith in him, will be ours. God bless you this Good Friday. May you feel the weight of the cross that Jesus carried, but also feel the weight of the joy of the words proclaimed to us, that in him we have life and we have it abundantly. God bless you.